It's been 2 decades since Rock Lee dropped his weights in that iconic scene, and we've seen more videos on hard work beats talent than there are grains of sand on a beach. But guess what? There's a whole treasure trove of wisdom from Lee that nobody's bothered to dig into. Lee's journey is like a roadmap to self-respect, a blueprint for what we should be doing with our lives, and a masterclass in finding true joy through what he calls the self-rule. And let me tell you, this guy's got more rules than a high school principal. Take his famous self-rule, for example. While most of us struggle to do 5 push-ups without collapsing, Lee's out there promising to do 500 and then adding 1,200 jump ropes just for kicks. Talk about overachieving. He's the poster child for self-discipline and accountability, making us all look like lazy slobs in comparison. Every day, we make promises to ourselves that we never keep. I'll start that diet tomorrow, we say, as we stuff our faces with pizza. But not Lee. He sets a goal and he crushes it, showing us all what it means to truly commit to something. So, next time you're feeling lazy or unmotivated, just remember Rock Lee and his self-rule. And who knows, maybe you'll find the strength to drop your own metaphorical weights and start achieving greatness. Because if Rock Lee can do it, so can you. And if you can't, well, maybe it's time to trade in your ninja headband for a pair of sweatpants. Ah, the eternal struggle of self-improvement. We all start with the best intentions, promising ourselves we'll run that extra mile, quit those bad habits, or study and work like we're trying to impress the boss. But let's be real, how often do we actually follow through? It's like a broken record, repeating the same promises to ourselves over and over again, only to break them just as quickly. It's enough to make you doubt your own sincerity, like a politician making campaign promises they know they'll never keep. And don't even get me started on those grand plans for tomorrow or later. We all know deep down that they're about as likely to happen as pigs sprouting wings and flying to the moon. But hey, let's flip the script for a moment. Remember those rare days when you actually follow through? When you tidy your room, go to bed early, and tick off everything on your to-do list? Those are the days when you feel like a superhero, like you could take on the world and win. I recently started waking up at 5 a.m. to hit the gym before work, and let me tell you, I feel like a new person. I don't even need my morning coffee anymore, which is saying something. It's like I've unlocked a secret level of productivity that I never knew existed. So, next time you find yourself making promises to yourself, remember that feeling of accomplishment when you actually follow through. Who knows? Maybe you'll surprise yourself and become the superhero of your own life story. You know, sometimes it's the little things that make all the difference. Like spending a measly 30 seconds before bed picking out your clothes for the next day. It may seem like a tiny task, but waking up to those pre-selected outfits can make you feel like you've got your life together. Now, let's talk about Rock Lee. This guy exudes confidence and happiness like it's going out of style. And you know why? Because he's a man of his word. When he says he's going to do something, he actually does it. Can you imagine how good that must feel, to know that you can trust yourself to follow through on your promises? Sure, achieving external goals is great and all. A killer physique, a dream job, the works. But what's even more important is being content with yourself. Because let's face it, no amount of success can make up for feeling like a fraud in your own skin. Think about the last time you let yourself down. Maybe you promised yourself you'd start that diet or hit the gym more often. Did you follow through? If not, don't beat yourself up about it. Just think about how differently you would have acted if you'd made that promise to someone you love. You'd move mountains to keep that promise, right? So, next time you make a promise to yourself, treat it like you would a promise to a loved one. Because at the end of the day, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. You know, it's funny how we'll go to great lengths for others, but when it comes to ourselves, we suddenly develop a severe case of excusitis. Imagine if you treated yourself the way you treat your friends or family. You'd be unstoppable. Self-care, self-love, call it what you want, but at the end of the day, it's about putting in the effort to better yourself. Whether it's something as simple as going for a run or as challenging as kicking a bad habit, the intent is what matters most. I've been experimenting with this idea for a while now, and let me tell you, even with a mountain of real-life stuff going on, it's made a huge difference. And I'm not talking about the usual self-care rituals you see online. I'm talking about tackling those negative thoughts head-on and showing them who's boss. Because here's the thing, you can't hate someone who's constantly looking out for you. So why not start doing those things for yourself? Who knows, you might just become your own best friend in the process. You know, sometimes it's the little things that make all the difference. Like spending a measly 30 seconds before bed picking out your clothes for the next day. It may seem like a tiny task, but waking up to those pre-selected outfits can make you feel like you've got your life together. Now, let's talk about Rock Lee. This guy exudes confidence and happiness like it's going out of style. And you know why? Because he's a man of his word. When he says he's going to do something, he actually does it. Can you imagine how good that must feel, to know that you can trust yourself to follow through on your promises? Sure, achieving external goals is great and all. A killer physique, a dream job, the works. But what's even more important is being content with yourself. Because let's face it, no amount of success can make up for feeling like a fraud in your own skin. Think about the last time you let yourself down. Maybe you promised yourself you'd start that diet or hit the gym more often. Did you follow through? If not, don't beat yourself up about it. Just think about how differently you would have acted if you'd made that promise to someone you love. You'd move mountains to keep that promise, right? So, next time you make a promise to yourself, treat it like you would a promise to a loved one. Because at the end of the day, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. You know, it's funny how we'll go to great lengths for others, but when it comes to ourselves, we suddenly develop a severe case of excusitis. Imagine if you treated yourself the way you treat your friends or family. You'd be unstoppable. Self-care, self-love, call it what you want, but at the end of the day, it's about putting in the effort to better yourself. Whether it's something as simple as going for a run or as challenging as kicking a bad habit, the intent is what matters most. I've been experimenting with this idea for a while now, and let me tell you, even with a mountain of real-life stuff going on, it's made a huge difference. And I'm not talking about the usual self-care rituals you see online. I'm talking about tackling those negative thoughts head-on and showing them who's boss. Because here's the thing, you can't hate someone who's constantly looking out for you. So why not start doing those things for yourself? Who knows, you might just become your own best friend in the process. The age-old debate of talent versus hard work, the eternal struggle of every underdog. We've all been there, feeling like we just don't have the natural talent for something, so why bother, right? Wrong. Enter Rock Lee, the poster boy for hard work beating talent. This guy didn't let a little thing like not being born a prodigy stop him from becoming a ninja powerhouse. Sure, he had his breakdowns along the way, but who hasn't? It's all part of the journey to greatness. Rock Lee's goal was never to be the best ninja in the world. He knew that was a bit of a stretch. But you know what? That didn't stop him from becoming a total badass. It's like going to the gym and thinking, well, I'll never look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so why bother? But who cares about being Arnold when you can still improve your physique, feel amazing, and strut your stuff with confidence? I mean, imagine if I said, well, my YouTube channel will never be as big as Mr. Beast's, so I might as well delete it. You'd think I'd lost my marbles, right? We get so hung up on not being the best that we forget about all the awesome stuff we can achieve along the way. So what if you're not destined to be number one in the world? That just means when you do achieve something, it'll be even sweeter. Plus, who wants to be number one anyway? That's a lot of pressure. I'll take being awesome and happy any day over that. Just ask anyone who's gone from skinny to swole or from chubby to chiseled at the gym. Having a body you're proud of means way more than just looking good in a mirror. It's about feeling confident, strong, and ready to take on the world. Plus, let's be real, the looks of envy from others don't hurt either. And let's not forget, you can always go further than you think. There's not a man alive, yes, even you and me, who can't become a beast at whatever they set their mind to. It's not about natural talent holding us back, it's about the choices we make. Take me, for example. I used to blame my lack of gains on bad genetics, but then I realized it was just my diet, or lack thereof, holding me back. And my social anxiety? Turns out, it wasn't a life sentence, it was just me not taking the necessary steps to overcome it. So, no matter what your goal is, whether it's becoming a ninja like Might Guy or just feeling more confident in your own skin, know that you can always go further. After all, even Madara couldn't deny the ridiculous strength Guy had. But imagine if Guy hadn't trained at all. Now that would have been a waste of potential. Imagine if Might Guy had just thrown in the towel and said, well, I'm only good at taijutsu, so I might as well not even bother. We wouldn't have the legend of the Green Beast to inspire us. And let's not forget about Lee, who despite his setbacks, still aimed to be a great ninja, and you know what? He achieved it. Before Lee opens the gates, he looks at Neji, Sasuke, and Naruto and thinks, I'm not going to be the only one to lose here. He realizes that he's just as capable as anyone else, and you should too. Don't sit around wishing you could be like someone else. You have the potential to be just as awesome, if not more. In 99.9% of cases, it's not your lack of talent holding you back, it's your mindset and actions. We've all faced challenges that seem insurmountable, whether it's getting in shape, acing that exam, or mastering a skill. But feeling like you're not good enough? That's just your brain playing tricks on you. Rock Lee's backstory reveals that he was the underdog of all underdogs, with no ninjutsu or genjutsu skills to speak of. He was like the guy who shows up to a ninja fight armed with nothing but a smile and a can-do attitude. Talk about feeling inferior. Despite everyone else laughing at him and his lack of fancy techniques, Lee kept on training. He must have felt like Sisyphus rolling that boulder uphill, only to have it roll back down every single time. And let's be real, we've all had those moments where we feel like we're just spinning our wheels and getting nowhere. I mean, can you imagine the frustration? Pouring your heart and soul into something, only to feel like you're stuck in a perpetual cycle of failure. It's enough to make anyone want to throw in the towel. But here's the thing, even when Lee felt like a total loser and doubted his abilities, he never gave up. And that, my friends, is what separates the winners from the losers. So, the next time you feel like you're not making progress, just remember Rock Lee. If he can keep going, so can you. You know, there's a brief moment between Lee's breakdown and Might Guy's response where you can practically see the wheels turning in Lee's head. It's like that moment when you realize you left the stove on after you've already left the house. Pure panic. Most of us don't have a Might Guy in our lives to give us that motivational speech, but hey, you've got me, right? And let me tell you, whatever garbage people or your brain has been feeding you about being worthless or not good enough, it's all hogwash. Total baloney. I mean, I spent over 2 decades thinking I was broken, especially in social situations. I'd try to talk to people and end up sounding like a malfunctioning robot. I hated myself for it, and I was so close to just giving up and resigning myself to a life of awkward interactions and self-loathing. But then, one day, my flatmate noticed I'd been hitting the gym, and that tiny moment of recognition lit a fire under my butt. Suddenly, I was making more progress in a month than I had in a whole year. Why? Because I realized that all those years of thinking I couldn't progress were just holding me back. So, screw that noise. If I can do it, so can you. So, turns out, my big problem was that I wasn't eating enough. I mean, it wasn't like I was cursed or anything, I was just a bit of an idiot about my diet. All those years of thinking something was inherently wrong with me, and it turns out I just needed a sandwich or 2 more. It's like Might Guy handed me the missing piece of the puzzle, if you don't believe in yourself, all the hard work in the world won't matter. And let's be real, it's not as simple as flipping a switch and suddenly believing in yourself, especially when you've got decades of evidence telling you otherwise. But if you just keep at it, one day you'll hit that breakthrough. You'll have your weights drop moment, where everyone around you has to admit, okay, this guy's got something going on. And let me tell you, those moments are real. I've had a few myself, and there's nothing quite like the satisfaction of proving everyone wrong and shutting up all the naysayers. You ever notice how Lee's decision-making process is like that emergency stash of snacks you have? Only to be opened in dire situations, like when you're hungry but can't be bothered to cook. Lee's leg weights were like his culinary safety net, only to be shed in the face of calamity, or, you know, when he wanted to flex a bit. But here's the kicker, while dropping those weights was like getting rid of a backpack full of rocks, opening the gates was like strapping a rocket to your back and hoping for the best. I mean, the guy's body basically turned into a fireworks show. So, you'd think the criteria for busting out those gates would be something major, right? Like, save the world level important. But nope, the only rule was to protect and maintain his ninja way. Like, seriously? That's it? I don't know about you, but my ninja way would probably involve a lot more Netflix and a lot less risking life and limb. Lee is like that friend who insists on playing Monopoly even though they always lose, and you're just sitting there thinking, dude, maybe try Scrabble. But no, Lee's like, I will master Park Place. And you can't help but admire his determination, even if it means enduring endless rounds of bankruptcy. And let's not forget the teachers and students who told Lee he couldn't be a ninja. I bet they're kicking themselves now, watching him drop those weights like a boss. You can't be a ninja, they said. Well, look who's kicking butt and taking names now. Lee's perseverance is so inspiring, it's like watching someone try to fit a square peg into a round hole, but instead of giving up, they grab a sledgehammer and start whacking away. It might not be the most efficient method, but by golly, they're gonna make it fit. So here's to Rock Lee, the ninja who never gave up, even when everyone else said he should. Keep dropping those weights, Lee. You're a genius in your own unique, sledgehammer-wielding way. Please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on another video.